Have you ever felt like you're caught in a cycle you can't escape? Maybe you're repeating the same mistakes in relationships, getting into the same arguments with your family, or finding yourself stuck in a pattern of failure at work, no matter how hard you try. When these things happen, it's easy to throw your hands up and say, "That's just my luck," or, "It must be my destiny." But what if it isn't destiny at all? What if you're the one pulling the strings, completely unaware? This is the profound question at the heart of one of the most powerful insights from the brilliant mind of Carl Jung. He famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." It's a quote that can stop you in your tracks, because it holds the key to a truth we often run from: our lives are not just happening to us. So, what did Jung mean by this, and more importantly, how can you use this insight to change your life? Let's break it down. The unconscious mind, a secret history. To understand Jung, we first have to talk about his teacher, Sigmund Freud. In the early 1900s, Freud revolutionized our understanding of the human mind with his work on psychoanalysis. He was the first to widely introduce the idea of the unconscious mind, a vast reservoir of thoughts, desires, and memories that we are not aware of, yet which powerfully influence our behavior. Freud believed that by bringing these hidden conflicts to the surface, we could heal our neuroses. Jung, a brilliant young Swiss psychiatrist, was one of Freud's most promising students and collaborators. He worked closely with Freud for years, but their paths eventually diverged. While Freud's view of the unconscious was deeply personal, rooted in individual trauma and repressed desires, Jung believed it was much broader, containing universal symbols, archetypes, and a collective human history. He ended up forging his own path, expanding the map of the human psyche to include not just what we repress, but what we inherit. Jung's vision of the psyche wasn't just made of what we know about ourselves, but of what we hide: our wounds, our fears, our unlived lives, and most importantly, our shadow. The shadow and the puppet master. Imagine your psyche as a house. The conscious mind is the well-lit living room where you entertain guests. It's the part of you that's presentable and socially acceptable. But Jung said there's a basement and an attic, the unconscious. And in the darkest corners of that house lives the shadow, the parts of yourself you've disowned. This includes your shame, your suppressed anger, your insecurities, and even your unrealized potential. The parts you believe are too ugly or too scary to look at. Jung argued that if you don't give awareness to this hidden self, if you don't venture into the dark corners of your own house, it doesn't just disappear. On the contrary, it gains strength and quietly starts to take control. It works like a puppet master behind the curtain, subtly directing your life from a place you can't see. This is why you'll find yourself sabotaging relationships just as they get serious, repeating the same self-destructive patterns with money, or getting into the same arguments with your parents, even though you promised yourself you wouldn't. Your unconscious shadow, with its unresolved fears and pains, is running the show. And when it all comes crashing down, you'll look at the mess and say, "That's just my lot in life," or "I must be a magnet for drama." But Jung's radical argument was that it wasn't destiny. It was you running from a part of yourself. You were avoiding the one place where the true answer lies, within your own unexamined darkness. How to make the unconscious conscious? The central question, then, becomes, how do you make the unconscious conscious? This isn't a task you can complete in an afternoon, it's a journey of a lifetime. But the first step is surprisingly simple, yet incredibly difficult for many of us to do: you have to slow down. In our fast-paced world, we are conditioned to constantly be in motion, to fill every silence with noise and every moment with an activity. This constant rush is a defense mechanism. It's how we outrun the inner work. True self-awareness requires stillness and reflection. Once you create that space, the work begins. Here's what it looks like. Pay attention to your triggers. A trigger is not just an irritation, it's a flashing neon sign from your unconscious. When someone's comment makes you disproportionately angry, when a small failure sends you into a spiral of shame, or when a person's success fills you with bitter resentment, don't dismiss it. Stop. Ask yourself, why did that bother me so much? What wound does this poke at? Your emotional reactions are not random, they are roadmaps to your unexamined self. Trace your reactions to their roots. This is where you become a detective of your own psyche. That deep-seated fear of public speaking might not be about the presentation itself, it might be rooted in a childhood memory of being shamed in class. Your chronic jealousy might be a sign of a deep insecurity you've been carrying since you were a child. The goal is to move beyond the surface-level reaction and find the initial injury. The mind doesn't forget, and until you consciously heal the wound, your reactions will continue to be disproportionate to the present situation. Study your dreams. Jung believed that dreams were direct messages from the unconscious mind. They are not random, they are a symbolic language, a secret conversation with your higher self. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Write down everything you can remember immediately upon waking. Look for recurring symbols, people, and themes. You might notice you're always being chased, or that you keep finding yourself lost in a labyrinth. These are powerful cues to the unconscious forces at play in your life. Notice the patterns. Take a step back and look at your life as a whole. What patterns keep repeating? Is it the same type of person you attract? The same self-sabotaging behavior when you're on the verge of success? The same family arguments during the holidays? These patterns are not just the way it is. They are your unconscious mind on a loop. They are the same lesson being presented to you again and again until you finally learn it. That bitterness you carry in your heart, that deep shame you ignore, that craving for validation you can't explain, they are not random flaws. They are hidden messages within you, fragments of your shadow screaming for attention. Facing the darkness and writing your own fate. Jung's work was not about making you feel broken. It was about making you feel whole. He wanted you to be conscious of yourself in all your complexity, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He wanted you to bravely stare into your own darkness and bring the light of awareness to it. This is the ultimate act of liberation. Because once you see your shadow for what it is, a wounded, frightened, and unintegrated part of yourself, it loses its power over you. It stops being a menacing puppet master and becomes a part of you that simply needs love and attention. The shame dissipates, the anger loses its sting, and the fear becomes a quiet whisper instead of a deafening roar. And for the very first time in your life, you'll feel a sense of freedom and agency you never knew was possible. You'll stop calling it destiny when you finally realize that you were the one creating it all along. The pen is in your hand, and you can, for the very first time, start writing your own fate.